Are you confused? Hi, I'm Ray of Sunshine. I used to be a lot more confused, but I'm finding that clarity is replacing confusion by the minute. Welcome to my sanctuary. As I mentioned, if you were with me in yesterday's video, I was planning on moving on from here. I had a new format in mind. I have some other changes that are going on that I'll tell you about, but I had a different layout for where I planned to be, but the weather is not the weather is not cooperating because we have a tropical storm underway, and so I'm going to be stuck in this position for a little time. However, I don't really consider it stuck because the show goes on anyway. The new hairdo is compliments of my sister, who I've told you about before. You've met her when you visited other parts of my sanctuary, and I told you about her clipping my hair. And what you don't see is that this particular hairstyle went through many different clippings before it ended up being this. And I'm hoping you like the shiny new penny color because that's representative of the energy that we're moving into. Shiny new penny, brand new, brand spanking new penny. And that's the energy that I speak about on this entire video series, going from the old world to the new world. Another reason I picked this area of my sanctuary to stay in because I wanted to finish telling you the story about the plants here, which I mentioned a couple of times. I mentioned a couple of things a couple of times in yesterday's video. One of which was the plants, and I didn't really tell you the rest of that story, but I will. And the other story that I told you twice, and I'm going to tell you again, and hopefully that I won't say it again one more time in this video coming up. But I love the story and I relive it every day about looking up in the mirror and glancing into my eyes as if it was for the first time and saying, "Oh my God, you're so amazing," and so I relive that every day, and I relived it today, and I wanted to share that with you. And I do repeat things over and over again, and that's one of the things that I'm going to repeat over and over again because it's a new discovery about myself. It's like the day that I first was told that I am, what's the word I'm looking for? Royalty. The first day that I was ever told I am royalty, and that hit me like a zillion lightning bolts. And I've been holding on to that energy ever since. And I tell that story back in one of those earlier videos. But all of those. This is what I wanted to tell you about the format of this program. All of those earlier videos are there for a reason. They have hidden messages. I don't know if you noticed my new fingernail polish. And you probably didn't because it's invisible. You can't see it. It's exactly when you put it on. In fact, it was kind of confusing putting it on because I had to keep track of where I was up to because you can't see it. You can't see it going on. You can't see where it is. So, but I finally managed to get it all on, and you can't notice it because it's invisible. Just like all of those messages in some of those previous videos are hidden, but they're there for a reason. And even though you can't actually see it, until you actually go look for it, they are there to produce strength. They are there to produce beauty. They are there to produce resilience, or to illustrate that. Just like the fingernails. So that's all in the previous videos, which I repeat from time to time, that you might want to go take a look at one of these days. That's entirely up to you. The other reason I was prompted to sit in this section of my sanctuary is because, and I showed you this last time too when you visited, if you were here to visit my sanctuary, but this is a picture of me like at least 15 years ago, which is around the time, it's right around the time of the pilot video that I have. And it shows that it's a different person. First of all, I like this picture a lot because it's a picture of the back of my head, and not a whole lot of people have a picture of the back of their head. So I like that about it because it's unique, and I like being unique. But I also like it because, as you can see, I look a lot older then, and I talked about that too on my birthday video. That I stumbled across this card today, which was given to me this year for my birthday by my son and his family, and it came with a a gift certificate for some for some spicy food, and it says "Hope your birthday was sizzling," and it was sizzling. And if you were with me, and if you weren't with me, well, you'll have a chance to be there. But my first video, after my pilot video, which was called June 10 maybe, I think it was, because I had done it before June 10th, and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to hold out till June 10th on my birthday to actually publish it. And I'm pretty sure that is what I did, but I wasn't sure at the time when I produced it, so I called it June 10 maybe. And when that video came out, it was a major celebration, and it was all about celebrating me, because it's a new me, just like it's a new you, and that's what we're all in the process of creating. There's stuff bubbling up, and we're in the process of deciphering it all, and I'm in the process of illustrating what that process is like, so you can follow me through the whole process of that journey. My sister, who's the one that's responsible for this haircut, is also, well, actually, I get so many compliments on my haircut now that she's actually thinking of going into the haircutting business. And so if you want me to hook you up with her, I can do that, although, I don't know, it might be a little expensive to travel if you're not actually from Rhode Island. But anyway, that's the endeavor that she's thinking of. And she is pretty good at it, but she's also good at making beans. And she's been making beans for a long time now. I used to make a lot of beans myself, and now that I'm alone, I don't make them so much. But she has a lot of practice with that, and so it's kind of a combination of favorite recipes. My dad's recipe, my mom's recipe, my grandmother's recipe, and my sister's evolving recipe. So every time that she makes the beans, it's always a matter of, oh my God, these are so fantastic. What did you do? Or these are terrific, but do whatever you did last time, do that again. So it's been an evolution with the beans. And this most recent time that she made it, I said, hey, did you soak the beans? And she said, I did soak them. In fact, I soaked them longer than usual. She said, did you notice? I said, no, I didn't notice, but why did you soak them? Because we had a conversation a few months ago, I'd say 3 or 4 bean batches ago, we had this conversation that somebody had read an article about beans not needing to be soaked. Because, as far as I recall, 50 years ago when I started making beans, we always soaked them. You had to soak beans overnight, and before whatever process, whether they were going in a bean pot in the oven, crock pot, whatever, soaking was the process. So somebody came across this article and brought it to my attention that beans don't have to be soaked, and they come out exactly the same way. And I had told this to my sister about her beans. And she said, oh, well, that might be worth a try. But, she wasn't really too enthused about it because she'd been working so hard, and she's so happy with this bean recipe and how the beans come out that she never took it too seriously. So all of this time, she continues making the beans, and she continues soaking them because she's afraid. Right, that's my point. She's afraid. Just like a lot of the fears that I have, which I illustrate in many of the before videos, keeps us. The fears is what keeps us from progressing. And so, even though the article said, and there's no reason, like they have no reason to, whoever wrote that article, whoever experimented with cooking beans without soaking them, have no reason to not tell the truth. They discovered something wonderful and they're sharing it with the world. And that's the same thing with my whole video presentation. I have no reason to mislead you. So maybe there's something here for you to discover, and maybe you'll discover it. The only way to discover it is to stumble across it. There's a lot of stumbling that happens on the way to getting here. But the whole point is to get past the stumbling. I have a reading, a quote, a quick little quote from Moon Omens, which I've talked about in the past, who are an astrological bunch, and they do all kinds of reports, and the daily inspiration that I get in my box. And I love inspiration. I love receiving inspiration. I love sharing inspiration. So I'd like to share this inspiration with you, and I want to point out that it is an analogy for my entire presentation, which is why I was so excited about it and so excited to share it with you. And it says, I love the magical journey of life, which is what is illustrated throughout the whole progression of this video production. I am grateful for all the unexpected turns. If you've seen some of my videos, you know there are unexpected turns, wild experiences, and you know there are wild experiences, and a lot of those wild experiences are just currently developing because I'm in the process of doing something different to discover something different, and I tell you all about those on a lot of those videos. And everything that didn't at first make any sense. So here's the point. There's a lot over there that doesn't make sense, and we're in the process of things making sense. And I find that things make more sense the more that I'm convinced that they make sense, rather than living in confusion. And so that's the story that I tell myself every day. I'm going to leave you with this final thought. Speaking of stumbling, I stumbled across a lottery ticket on the ground this morning, and it was a winning ticket. And it reminded me of many years ago when I won the Powerball, and I had won $5,000, and I came like this close to winning 24 million.